Yo guys, and welcome back towards this new video here on the channel. And on today's video I will be discussing Bitcoin. And of course on today's video I will be as well go a little bit more in depth about how Bitcoin is currently reacting towards the stock market, how Bitcoin is behaving itself on exchanges, and much more. So don't forget to smash up the like button and let's jump right away in towards the content that we want to be discussing today. So what you can see on the daily time frame is that Bitcoin finally, for the first time around on this trend, formed a lower low here on the daily time frame with a higher low on the RSI, basically forming that bullish divergence we've been waiting for quite a while here. That is of course a very interesting signal, because really if you do get a bullish divergence on the daily time frame, it is usually a very strong signal that this market can finally start to be moving up again, and that this market finally could be starting to regain some more strength here. So especially since we are forming this bullish divergence on that lower side of the RSI band here below the 50, this is pretty interesting to look at, because also do an observation, Bitcoin is trading on the daily time frame on 42 on the RSI. On the weekly time frame we're trading on 43 on the RSI. Monthly time frame we're trading on 52 on the RSI. 12-hour time frame also below the 50. Basically all these time frames are trading pretty low on its RSI, really giving us a clear signal that the risk is so most certainly lower right now for accumulating Bitcoin. And definitely with such kind of a bullish divergence, markets can really start to be moving back towards the upside again. So that's pretty important to recognize. Also looking at the daily time frame and really taking on the VPVR, looking at where the volume is, the majority of the volume is getting traded, you can still see that we're holding on towards that range, and it could also just perfectly set up the VPVR for Pacific, this range, and you can clearly see that so far we're still getting supported by the most volume traded range here on Bitcoin, and that is definitely very important to recognize. That's very important to keep your eyes wide open on. And of course, like you can see, this is clearly an important level to hold on towards, and as long as we're holding this volume support range, yeah, we will be still probably could be seeing that upside getting created for Bitcoin. But yeah, what I mainly want to be addressing, that if you're going to zoom out, if you're going to be enabling the VPVR, and if you're going to look at this current trend we've been trading in, you can clearly see Bitcoin has been just traded a high amount of volume around the range we're currently trading on. This is just very easy analysis. This is a floor price for Bitcoin. This range between the 36,000 and the 41,000 US dollars is floor price for Bitcoin. This is a range where Bitcoin usually tends to be bouncing between. And it is very smart, in my opinion, to accumulate around this range here, because this has been a range with high amount of limit orders. There's a high amount of liquidity that is willing to enter the market over here since to its previous price action, basically. Already having a lot of orders set up on this range here. So pretty important range to look at. I personally think that this is a good range for accumulation in general, because if you're going to be buying Bitcoin today, you could be of course in a massive profit in the coming months or in the coming years ahead of ourselves. I'm almost certain that Bitcoin is going to trade around digits that we will be probably not even guess right now in 10 years from now on. If I say that Bitcoin is going to hit 1 million within 5 years, you will probably think that's crazy, but due to the high inflation, I do think that Bitcoin is going to reach 1 million US dollars way earlier than we do anticipate, right? As well, looking at Bitcoin, we can currently see that the daily time frame is still forming a falling wedge here. A little bit of an updated falling wedge since yesterday, but this is still the main scenario to look at in my opinion. Typical reversal pattern with a bullish divergence. Do know that we are forming a reversal pattern with a bullish divergence. That is very interesting, and do note this is on the daily time frame, so the moves are quite significant. If we are going to be breaking out and we're going to see that continuation, it could be right away be a 20% trade towards the upside. So my guess right now is that we're probably going to get a very strong move here. I don't really think it's a bad decision to really look at downside targets, and I'm actually opening more trades right now out of anticipation of this breakout towards the upside. So it is pretty interesting if you would ask me here. Also looking at the 3-day time frame, Bitcoin is so far still holding on towards this upward sloping support line. I think it's looking pretty strong here. I don't really think it is all too bad in terms of how we're currently looking. As long as we're holding on towards it, we're going to look pretty well for Bitcoin. Also at the same time, we can see that the US 500 is really dragging the Bitcoin price action down here, like you can see on the daily time frame. S&P 500 really falling hard, but do reckon Bitcoin, if we're going to be measuring it against the S&P 500, you can right away see that Bitcoin has just been acting so strong on the recent weeks here, and of course on its whole lifetime it has been acting strong against the S&P 500. But do know that on these recent weeks here, where the S&P 500 had a pretty much a hard time here, and Bitcoin in the beginning also, Bitcoin moved up in the last 100 days, approximately 21% against the S&P 500. What is definitely a very big buy signal to me, because this is basically showing that Bitcoin is a risk-off asset rather than a risk-on asset. At the same time, we can see that funding rates is dipping extremely negative here, and we can see that the moving average for funding rates have never stayed so negative for such a long time here. I mean, the last time this did happen and we stayed negative for such a sustainable period of time, Bitcoin moved up of approximately 150% from of that point, because yeah, last time that this happened was of course in the summer low of 2021 here, and of course it's exactly 1 year ago if I just look at it. A little bit longer, almost exactly 1 year ago, that we created that low in the market, and that the funding rates were so extremely low across the market. And just always know here as well, in the corona crash year, in the pandemic crash year, you can see that the funding rates were also going extremely negative due to the high amount of people that thought the market was over and the market was doomed. And do know, once the funding rates are extremely high, you can see historically that it's a good sell signal, and once it is down, it is historically a good buy signal. So also do once again know that of course across of course the market peak here, the highest point we went even higher than March 2020 in terms of our funding rate, and that was the point that we really reversed the market towards the downside. And do know that we have not really seen that high amount of funding rate for such a long period of time. That really is right now showing that we are at, yeah, could we say turtle markets, but basically we are at low risk accumulation stages, and that is really a thing that I want to bring with you guys out there. It's an extremely low risk for accumulating those bitcoins right here, and I personally think that once again we are going to get the same effect eventually. Also looking at the 4-hourly time frame on Bitcoin, you can see we got rejected from the highs. Not really interesting, not a lot of interesting things to really see from this, but yeah, still holding strong on this potential broadening wedge here. You can see this is the main scenario to look at, and there's just a massive amount of consolidation going around over here. Bitcoin usually, once it does break out of these patterns, tends to be moving up towards the upside, and usually a broadening wedge gets created from a move towards the downside, consolidates a bit here, creates more than 3 touch points at least, and then starts to be breaking up towards the upside. So there's a very big possibility that we are going to see that. And there's a very big possibility that we are going to see some bullishness come towards the market. The bullishness will come eventually, and of course, if we're really looking at on-chain data, we can currently see that there is a high amount of people that really are outflowing their Bitcoin from exchanges. There's just a massive amount of interest from those players that are actually willing to hold on towards those bitcoins, right? Because you can see we have been basically forming one of the largest outflows since the last time around that we got such big of an outflow was of course in that crash on September, and before that it was before the rally in November 2020. So yeah, pretty interesting. And if you go towards my Twitter page, you can see also that this is basically somewhat of a bull market signal, right? You can see, if I'm going to press on this picture, that every single time we form these high amount of outflows, we tend to basically start a run up, and we are once again at the same stages right now. And I do think it's a very big opportunity for everyone out there that is looking for potential place to accumulate. Also looking at the funding rates, still negative, of course, just like we discussed on our chart. And on my trade, of course, I've been right now in a minor loss here, but you can see just how close I was with getting my next order filled up here. My next order was trading on the 37.5k, and unfortunately I was not getting filled. I was about to enter another $50,000 in this trade. So that's what I do. I accumulate more towards this trade if the market comes down here. If the market decides to go up here, I will be alright here. I will be okay with this trade. It is in a loss right now. Maybe some people will be laughing, but for me, this trade is accumulation. I'm accumulating more and more as the market continuously falls further down here. And for me, it's just all about getting that entry in here, because as soon as the market does reverse, it reverses hard. And I want to be part of that major market reversal, right? So if you're interested in trading, make sure to sign up in the link description. I personally think there's a very good trade upcoming right now here. So make sure to set up your account already. And that's going to be this daily time frame. We are forming a falling wedge here together with a bullish divergence. For me, a very clear signal while we are getting created, of course, right? Also, if you do look at more indicators, let me enable the like you can see over here, let me enable the money flow index. You can see money flow index also forming a higher low, MACD also forming a higher low. We're basically getting more confirmations on like this movement that we are about to get generated towards the upside. So for me, it's a pretty clear way where we are probably going to be moving towards. So make sure to check up your account here in the link description. If you do use my link in the description, you will be also getting a $4,800 deposit bonus. So thank you so much for checking that out here, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.